John Pence, great to have you, man.
John, good morning. I can't wait to see you at all these peaceful protests happening here in the Commons.
Look, John, come on, man. I mean, to coin Biden's phrase, I mean, they send a letter out. They know we got 5,000 people showing up. They're in a dead panic. They don't know what to. They have no campaign in Virginia. They expected this to be a cakewalk, mail it in, go on to something else. Now they have no. John, we got 6,000 trained volunteers. We've knocked on 300,000 doors. We've contacted 2 million people. They haven't done anything.
Yep. Now Virginia's in play. And if they're actually looking at anything that we're seeing, I mean look at that peaceful protest last night in Florida. Virginia is very much in play. A key thing you just talked about, John, is voter registration in places like Florida, Pennsylvania, Iowa. Republicans are leading the way. And outpacing Democrats over these past 4 years because people just, are joining this growing Republican Party because of the president. And that's happening in Virginia. That's why you're going to see a lot of the Trump campaign all over the Commonwealth in these next 39 days ahead.
John, just honestly, we've been saying for some time that Virginia was much closer than they were letting on. Our polling now shows us within the margin of error. Just tell us straight up, the president coming to Newport News tonight, do you see a pathway for us to win Virginia?
We do. I mean, if you think about everything that this president's fighting for, his pro-growth, pro-jobs, pro-freedom agenda, and you compare that to what's been happening across the Commonwealth. I think that's why you're seeing folks more and more energized, like you said, making over 300,000 door knocks. This army of volunteers. We actually just passed, throughout the whole country, we passed 2.2 million trained volunteers. That's the largest re-election campaign for any president, including President Obama, in American political history. We made our 110th million voter contact. That's either a phone call or a door knock. We only did 33 million voter contacts in all of 2016. And I remember when my uncle, the vice president, he did a rally right on Duke of Gloucester Street, Dog Street, right in Williamsburg. Around this time, 4 years ago, John, I don't know if you remember it, and there were a couple hundred people out there in pouring rain, waiting for hours and hours and hours until the then, Governor Mike Pence was able to make it to the rally and speak to folks. And this is a movement. This is a movement to put our country first. And I think that movement's just been growing over these last 4 years. And I think you're going to see that growth and that support that the people of the Commonwealth have for this president tonight in Newport News.
Well, listen, tremendous turnout we're getting. And I just want to clarify, so I got a bunch of texts, people asking me if the rally was canceled. No, the rally is not canceled. They have no power to do this. I mean, the governor's restrictions are ridiculous, so the rally is going forward. They can't get an injunction until at the earliest tomorrow, and the rally is already done, so they can do nothing about it. And again, I just want to reiterate this. The rally is going on forward, but if they were really concerned about the health, they would have done this 3 days ago. As soon as it was announced, they would have done it. They would have tried to get an injunction. They did it last night because they looked at the poll numbers, and it shows this is a tied race, and they had a meltdown. And they called the governor up, and they're like, what the hell's going on in Virginia? He says, oh, my God, I'll try to cancel the rally. That's what happened, John.
John, you know what this reminds me of? Remember in 2016, the president campaign did a really, really late rally in Michigan and in Minnesota, kind of thrown right on the calendar right last minute. This is the same thing. It's this is a packed day for the president. He's going to be down in Atlanta. He's going to be in Miami. He's going to be back in Washington, and then he's we're packing in another last minute rally in the Commonwealth because like you said, this state, like Michigan was in 2016, like Minnesota is again in 2020, these states are really in play and can turn red. And that's why we're going to continue doing the hard work of campaigning following the president's lead tonight in Newport News. And I'll be tomorrow with Nick Freitas, great candidate for Congress, and with folks, with John Rich at a concert. Get out the vote. You can vote in Virginia, and, we're going to make sure that folks are mobilizing to vote for this president and reelect him for 4 more years.
Well, if you're in Virginia, early voting has started, and you really need to get mobilized. That's the whole thing. We're woke now. Bring a friend. I brought my friend Coach Bobby to vote yesterday. He's a little younger than me, and I'm 62, but he's a family guy. He owns a business, baseball coach. First-time voter, got him to go, got his wife registered. This is what we have to do. We have to get out there. We got to mobilize, because this election now is about mobilization, not persuasion. We're with John Pence, the nephew of Vice President Mike Pence. John is also Senior Advisor Trump Pence 2020. John, I'm going to try to bring in Martha if she's on, get her in. We're live in studio. Mike Karzlak is with us, founding sponsor of the John Fredericks Show, Providence Computers. Den Black here, also Martha Bonetta now joining us, and John Pence with us. But, John, the question that I had here is, with early voting, about 1 million absentee ballots have been asked for in Virginia. So we know that the majority of those are Democratic voters. But our analysis, John, is that these are people that would have voted anyway, and so they're just cannibalizing their own voter. I mean, it's the same people. It's not like they find 1 million new people, right?
That's right. We're looking at these, looking at the data. I mean, it's traditional Democrats coming out, but on our side, as I mentioned, we have growth. We have a growing Republican Party, new Republican registrations, and that's what's really going to make the difference. That's why, the president, he'll be in Newport News tonight, so make sure we get out and vote. All these new people that have come to this party, the party that, fights for freedom and puts America first. We got to make sure that we get our friends, our family out. I was in Minnesota earlier this week, John, met a gentleman, father of 10 children, who are all of voting age, and he said, 4 years ago, none of my children voted for this president, but I can tell you, they already voted early, and they all voted for Trump, because they're seeing the promises made, promises kept, and I think, we see that across the Commonwealth, and that's why, we just, as you said, we just got to mobilize. We got to get out and vote, and we got to reelect this president.
That sounds great, John. I mean, if you got 10 kids and most of them are going to vote for Trump, that's fabulous.
Yeah. Especially when they didn't vote for him the last
if
time,
they didn't
right?
vote last time.
And that's a state, too. That's a state that hasn't gone red since 1972, and it's in play. And the Democrats know it, too, because Joe Biden had to leave his basement and finally go to Minnesota after 1,411 days, nearly 3 years not being there. And they see what we're seeing. And like John said, they're sounding alarms because they realize the president added, a fifth or sixth stop after a very long day and a very long week. But this president doesn't slow down. Tomorrow he'll be nominating a qualified justice that's going to uphold our Constitution,
awesome.
And he's not slowing down. And that's,
by the way, my wife
Virginia.
My wife voted absentee, and she will be on the conservative Republican side. So all the absentee ballots are not going to be Democrat. Not going to be Democrat. A lot of Republicans are voting absentee.
Let's get Martha Bonetta involved here. Martha, I know you've been traveling around talking to a lot of people. Give us a sense of what's going on in the field.
The adrenaline and the excitement is it's so much greater than it was even in 2016 on the trail. I mean, I remember back then seeing, moms bringing their kids out of school to stand in line for the opportunity to go to one of these rallies. And for example, for today, there's so much excitement. It's so true when we speak of what this president has done for the economy, unemployment at an all-time low for minority communities and for women. And can I just tell you, the women of Virginia and the women I talk to all across this country are so fired up to reelect President Donald J. Trump. He has lifted up so many women into office in this administration, has done so much for women all across our nation, and I'm pumped up. I'm excited. We can't wait till the rally this evening. And I just want to thank you, John, because you've been on the Trump train since day one. In fact, you were the first to predict nationally on the radio that he was going to win not only the primary, but become our 45th president.
Well, thank you for that, Martha, and recognizing that. And he's going to win again, no question about it. John, let me bring something else out that is under everybody's radar screen, John and Martha and Mike here with us. The Democrats in the legislature in January passed a law. Get this, right? They passed a law, and the law is that Election Day in Virginia would be a state holiday. So paid holiday, everybody gets time off, closed down, paid holiday. And they thought, well, that's really going to benefit the Democrats because, all the federal workers, everybody is home from work, they'll all vote, they'll get a bigger turnout. Well, they're not voting in person. So that doesn't matter to them. They're afraid of COVID, doesn't fit their narrative. But here's what the day off does. We're going to have, John, a massive turnout in Southwest Virginia because it's our Southwest and Southside Virginia voters that are working two jobs. These are blue-collar workers. Often they don't get home in time. They're tired when they get home. That has backfired on them, actually. And the day off on Election Day, our analysis says, is going to spur our in-person voting on November 3rd. We're going to run up a phenomenal score and lead while we're waiting for the absentee ballots to come in. John, I bet nobody's really put that on their radar screen.
I love to hear it, and I agree. We're getting ready for a just tremendous turnout on Election Day, and part of that, John, as you know, is election integrity. And for the first time, we can have Election Day operations with poll watchers nationally as a Republican Party. This is something we haven't been able to do under a consent decree since the 1980s that was in place and no longer is. Long story short, if you go on to defendyourballot.com, you can sign up to help with our Election Day operations at poll watching, and just make sure that we honor our time-honored tradition of one person, one vote. But defendyourballot.com is a great resource of what we're doing to make sure that we protect the vote and we turn out and vote. And I agree with the energy across the country is tremendous. And I was on the 2016 campaign, but 2020, I'm sure you hear it too, John. This is off the charts. And I'm seeing folks all over the country. I travel pretty much every day to go speak with our volunteers, and everyone sees it. Just look at that peaceful protest last night. Tonight's going to be a great night in Virginia, talking about why we love our country, what's at stake, and the land of opportunity that is America, and why that's worth fighting for, and why we know only President Trump will fight for it for 4 more years.
John, I love how you call our rallies peaceful protests, because if you say that, right, there's no restrictions like the governor is trying to shut us down.
Hey, John, I've got in my computer business, I have lots of clients. So occasionally I interview them to see if I feel like it, that they're Democrat, Republican, or whatever, if you feel like you're on the same wavelength. I've got quite a few Democrats that tell me they're not voting for Biden, that they're going to cross over and vote for Trump.
Why?
They don't feel that the Democrat Party's done anything for them.
Right.
They're pro-business, and a lot of times they're pro-Christian. They don't believe that the Democrat Party is offering the Christian side of life anything at all. So, surprising amount of Democrats have told me, oh yeah, voting for Trump, absolutely.
Yeah, this is a party of freedom. We stand up for freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of commerce. If it's free, fair, and reciprocal trade, I could go on, but we're the party of freedom because Donald Trump's fighting for our freedoms every day, no matter the criticism. And John, there's a lot of fake news and criticism out there, especially as we get closer and closer to Election Day. I can tell you, the vice president, my uncle, he'll joke, some days you got to use a stick just to turn on the television because you don't know what's going to be on it. And, but the American people see through it. And tonight in Virginia, and then this weekend, like I said, I'll be with Nick Freitas and John Rich outside of Charlottesville for a Get Out the Vote concert and rally. They see through it, and and they know that this country is better off under President Trump's leadership.
Well, John, I think we're in really good shape. One other thing I want to mention is in a Christopher Newport University poll that came out yesterday, had us down by 5. That always skews Dem by 5 or 6, so that's why we think it's about tied. But even in that poll, Trump was getting 15% of the black vote in Virginia. This is unheard of, John. This is unheard of. I mean, this is why this thing is tied here. I mean, if he's getting 15% of the black vote in Virginia, that seems to be the trend now nationally. And there's no math for Biden to win if Trump gets 15, 16, 18% of the African American vote, 45% of the Hispanic vote. There's no math for him, John.
Yeah, it could be even better than the 15%. They're just not.
I think it could be better.
They don't want to report that. You know, they're quaking just saying 15%. Yeah.
You all know, President Trump's putting America first for all Americans, every single American. And today, he'll start his day off down in Miami at a round table with Latinos from the Nicaraguan, Venezuelan, Cuban, Puerto Rican communities that support this president because they know that, his commitment for freedom here and abroad is making not just America a peace through strength, but making the world a stronger and more safe place because you have President Trump and his leadership in the White House. And, I think it's a great moment to be a Republican because we are seeing growth in our party, a growing party. And tonight we will show that strength and that growth over these past 4 years and I'll say it again, this peaceful protest in Newport News.
Yeah, too funny. John Fredericks Radio Network. We want to thank John Pence. John, I get to introduce you again tomorrow. I guess it's at the Nick Freitas rally in somewhere in Richmond. I just got that sent to me, so I'll see you then. I'll see you tonight. Thanks, John Fredericks Radio Network.